Hello, this is Broyar, and welcome back to another episode of our Let's Play for Football Manager 2023 as we continue our Road to Glory run with Banbury United FC, still in the championship. In fact, up next is our end-of-season review for our first season in the championship. We finished 15th place, spoiler alert. I'm sure you guys saw that through the episodes. But we'll go over the team. We'll go over some team members that may be exiting us because obviously they did not play as well. We'll see who played well. We want to keep around things like that. Plus, obviously, we'll do the transfer special, which is going to be, I don't know. We'll see. I don't have a lot of money to spend, but it's kind of an important transfer special for us to be able to stay up and possibly even kind of move up a little bit because we'd like to start gradually working our way up into those playoff spots and stuff like that. So let's get right into it. All right, here we are for the end of season review 2030-31. The new arrivals. I actually don't remember who all we got. So we got Zach Bell here on a 6.81 rating. The board is actually relatively happy with that. We got Remy Dafter on a loan. He played well, but the board was not super happy with him. Eli Campbell, the board's pretty happy with. He played well enough probably to stick around for another season, so we're okay with that. Lambert, looks like they were happy with the money that we spent on him. Baker, same thing. Holland as a defensive midfielder. I mean, he's getting close to the line of basically average, right? And may keep him around just because we can't replace everybody, but definitely one of the ones that if we got a good price for somebody like him, we would definitely sell him on. Same thing with Jay Haddo here. Again, just nothing to write home about, right? Gilligan has just not done well lately since we got him. So I think it's time for him to potentially move on. Leggett here, probably time for him to move on a 6.58. Garrity, I don't know that we could move him on. He's 34 years old. Balagizzi here. I actually thought he played well in some games, and he did get 3 goals on the season, but he just, over the course of the entire season, just not well. Now, I should take this a little bit with a grain of salt, so to speak, because we did kind of maybe hurt some of our guys' ratings there the last 5 or 6 games where I was just trying a new formation just to see what it did, knowing that it probably wasn't going to be that good and our stuff was not that great. So hopefully we can see some, I don't know, hopefully I can kind of judge based off of that and kind of remove some of that out of the mix, and we can kind of go from there. Obviously we got Mark Lab here, who 6.48, only played 8 total appearances, did get a goal. I mean, he's only 19 years old, so maybe he's got somebody who could still improve. But again, any of these guys down here at the bottom, if we got a decent price for them, I would not be against moving them on. End of season results, the board are pleased that the team achieved a mid-table position. Obviously, we overachieved. They wanted us to fight bravely against relegation, and we got mid-table. So not too bad. Now, I will say we are a class above the teams that are in relegation. That feels good. We are probably 2 classes below the teams that are in the playoffs. So we still have a lot of work cut out for us. I think at best, if we improve by 10 points this next season, we would be 65. So we'd be 12th place. That's only 3 spots, but that's a pretty big improvement as far as points that we would get. So I would probably be pretty happy if we moved up at least 3 spots here. Top 10 would be ecstatic. Let's put it that way. That would be way overachieving, in my opinion. Average home attendance was 55.29. That is a little bit skewed because we didn't actually get the expansion on the stadium until towards the end of the season. So hopefully this next season we're sold out just about every single game. That would be awesome. Top goal scorer was Salisbury, of course, final position, like we saw that. FA Cup, we did lose to Ipswich. Very first game. Unfortunate. Carabao Cup, we actually made it past Luton Town and lost to Bolton Wanderers. I mean, the board was okay with both these results, so I'm not super stressed about it myself. Moments to remember, we did get our biggest win against Coventry, a 5-2 victory there with a pair of goals from Salisbury, a goal from Ritchie, and a pair of goals from Clee. Good stuff there. Match to remember was our game against Charlton, which we had a pair of goals from Chilvers, a goal from Kirby, and a goal from Taberner in this game. And our goal of the season was from Hurd here. Okay, let's go look at that 30th minute goal. We'll take a look at this goal. I don't know what formation we're going to do next season. There's Mabai, gets it over. Chizoba after Hurd. Oh, yeah, okay. I mean, a little bit lucky, but obviously he stayed with the play and was able to get the shot off. He's kept it on target. That's all you can ask for. Stay with the play, keep it on target, make the goalkeeper or defenders do what they have to do, right? So, well done there. The finances, I mean, finances looking pretty good overall. You're getting a little bit better. Although we did lose a lot of competition money, which is unfortunate because we just didn't make it very far in the competitions. But, I mean, obviously sponsorships went up. Broadcast revenue went way up. Corporate hospitality went up. The match day commercial and retail went down a little bit. I think some of that might have to do with not having our full stadium for the entire year, things of that nature. But the competition prize money is probably our biggest ding for the course of the season. But we'll see. We'll see where things go. It's not showing us the shirt sales, which is weird, but we definitely showed some shirts. Here's how we lined up for the most part. Obviously, the, what do they call us? The 5-2-3-0. So 5-2-3-0. I mean, it did the best. Is it the formation we're going to use for next season? I don't know. We'll probably have it at least in our back pocket just as a fallback. But we probably need to try and make some adjustments where possible to see if we can come up with something that will be a little bit better. We just need, like I said, we want those 10 more points. How can we get 10 more points? Do we just keep playing this the entire season? Because obviously we didn't play at the very beginning. We didn't play at the very end. So maybe we would have gotten 10 more points that way. Or could we do something else? It's really, there's like a whole lot of, like some of the data's just missing. I'm not sure what's going on with that. I guess we didn't get any record breakers. I guess that makes sense. Never mind. I'm so used to seeing record breakers. It's like, is it broken? Fans player of the season was actually Zach Attack, our goalkeeper. Awesome. Young player of the season, of course, Richie. Richie, I really like. He's done some good stuff. Signing of the season with Leggett. They actually liked him, huh? We may have to keep him around just to see what he can do then. Goal of the season, obviously, from Hurd. We saw that. Top goal scorer was Salisbury, only on 10 goals. If our top goal scorer is only on 10 goals, that's a huge part of our problem, of course. Most assists from Matheson at 6. Highest average rating was Zach Attack at 6.9. So nobody over a 7. And most passes completed was from Campbell. So history in the making. Yeah, no, I mean, we did what we need to do. We did above and beyond what we need to do, honestly. So pretty good stuff. Timeline, nothing really to see here, honestly. Here's where we went up. We got regional recognition from as a team. And we got us a big deal on Eli Campbell, who didn't seem like he turned out as good as we would have liked. Players inducted into the overall best 11. Looks like Ferran got into it. Really? Okay, yeah, fair enough. Defender there. Salisbury and Zekatek were the other players. Zekatek actually moves into the starting role as a goalkeeper, with McNabb taking that backup spot now. And then, of course, Salisbury. Oh, he's actually coming in here as a attacking midfielder in the center. That's incredible. Well, good for him. Good for him. I like Salisbury a lot. I like Richie. I mean, obviously, this team right here, if they were good enough to play at this level, I would love to have these guys back. Pollock, Harkin. I mean, sure, for sure. We already saw the review. 2022. Have we been here since 2022? I think we started in 2023, didn't we? So some of these guys we don't really care about too much. FA Cup review. Nothing to see there. Anything else to see before we get into stuff? Actually, probably what I will do is I'll probably let's go look at the players here in a second. As soon as this gets back from flipping forward a bit. All right, so squad. We want to take a look at average rating. Okay. So the average rating would normally be my cutoff. I would say anything 6.6 and below, right? Because I mean, 6.6 and below is just, that's average. That's literally as average as it gets. Anything from here down is fair game to move on. I mean, someone like Leggett here on a 6.5, if we could sell this guy on for $1 million, if we could sell Lab on for 1.9 million bucks, that would be absolutely incredible. Can you, Brooks Mead here for 1.1 million? I mean, come on, there's some guys here that are worth some money if we could sell them on, just because we really need the money, right? We really need the money. Dickinson here, 850. Honestly, any of these guys down here for sure, I would sell. Honestly, anybody up to 6.8, I would sell if a deal came in big enough for them. Is there anybody up here that I would just really be okay with selling? Where did Campbell finish? Where's Campbell? Because we paid a lot of money for it. There he is. Campbell finished on 6.78. So honestly, I mean, not great for the amount of money we spent, but not terrible for the amount of money we spent. Is that fair assessment? He's might be worth something, keeping around. I mean, I would have. I mean, I think if we'd spent £100,000 for him, I would have been perfectly fine with his performance. £400,000. No, he didn't live up to that. To be fair, he definitely did not live up to that. But we shall see. All right. Well, I'm definitely going to be putting, like I said, anybody from here down. I'm at least going to put them up on the trade window just to see if we get any bites. If we don't, then we don't. But we'll go from there. I think that's a good place to start. And then I might take a look at some of these guys to see if there's any interest up here at all. You want a new contract. Zach Bell's actually wanted by somebody. I don't know if I want to get rid of Zach Bell. Maybe, though. Maybe. Nah, probably not, actually, if I could help it. Let's see who else is wanted. Oyedel? He's not worth a lot of money. I'd rather just keep him around, to be perfectly honest. Campbell's actually wanted by some people. Truth be told, if we could sell him on for, if we could break even or even make a little bit of money off of him, I wouldn't be against that as well. So I might look at some of these guys that are wanted by some teams and potentially move them on as well. And yeah, I mean, at this point, all I got to do is just I gotta go do some work, guys. I got to go get this work done, get these transfers done, and I guess I will bring you guys back if anything exciting happens at all. We'll let you know. So we'll be back. All right, I am back, and some work has been done. As you can see, we do have $2.3 million in the transfer budget as of right now. A decent amount of wage budget, not a ton, but a little bit of wage budget available. Although we could obviously move the transfer budget around as needed. We do have a good chunk of balance into the actual bank account itself. Although I will say most of that is from the solidarity payment from being in the championship. So that's really one of the big things that we wanted was stay up in the championship, get a big, huge payment for being there. And then if we get relegated after that, at least we've got a good bank account to go from. So that's a good chunk right there. But yeah, how did we get to this transfer budget? Obviously, we sold some players. As of right now, we have sold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players. We got several others that are potentially on their way out. 4 of those players, I have no issues with selling because they just didn't play well last season. The other 4 did play okay last season, or at least well enough to potentially stick around. But I thought we got a reasonable enough price for them that it felt like it was worth selling them while we could before they started dropping down in price. So we'll take a look at those real quick and go from there. So let me move my camera away because a lot of these are all happening before the season has rolled over, technically. So as you can see, with no transfers in yet, still working on those. I got a couple guys coming in and we'll take a look at kind of where the holes are and what we're looking for. But if we scroll all the way down here, I guess the first one here is Oyedel. So all of these just left. So Oyedel is gone. We did sell Oyedel for £300,000. I mean, Oyedel, he could be worth more than that. We don't know. We got him on a free, have had him for 4 years. He hasn't played poorly. He just hasn't played amazingly. So I just felt like if we get a good amount of money for him, I was willing to go down no lower than probably 250, 275, something like that. And we got 300 for him. So I was like, you know what? It's above my personal limit on what I would be willing to sell him for. Let's just move him on and change some things up and kind of go from there. So we did sell Oyedel here. Will that be a mistake? I don't know. But you could kind of say that for all of these. Will these be mistakes? Especially the ones that I thought played decently last season. Chilvers is gone as well. Chilvers is also above that threshold of someone who played okay. He's above at 6.6, which is the average, right? Not amazing, though. And he definitely didn't play as well as he did in League One 2 seasons ago. If he played like this, I would not have sold him, I don't think. But we bought him on a free 2 years ago. Sold him for $185,000. Not terrible, honestly, in my opinion. He is 30 years old, so obviously definitely on the latter half of his career, if you will. He's not really gonna get any better for sure. And our formation we're gonna be playing this next season is potentially gonna be more defensive than proper midfielders. So all those reasons added up to selling him. And honestly, I felt like we got actually got a decent transfer. We actually probably got a high transfer value for him. I mean, he's only valued at 18 to 190K, and we sold him for 185, I believe. Yeah, 185. So I thought that was a pretty good run of business. Not that, again, he was bad necessarily. He just wasn't amazing. And I think he was worth selling on, especially for that much profit. Brooks Mead is a guy that had a lot of potential. So we'll take a look at him. He's one of the guys that did not play for us really last season at all. I don't think I got anything, right? Yeah, he played. We put him out on loan to the Vanarama National League on and he got a 6.92. So that's not bad, but that's several leagues below us. 6.92, several leagues below us. Does that math out to being good at the championship level? I don't know. We got him in on a free. 2 seasons ago, and we sold him for $550,000 profit, or 550,000 pound profit. That's not bad. I mean, he is 19 years old. He does have a massive amount of potential. He could turn into be someone who's just incredible. We technically sold him on the low end of what our, I guess, whoever's evaluating these guys would have evaluated him out. But I think the high end of this is assuming his potential, and we just don't know if he will. And plus, with our training facilities the way they are, I don't know that most of these guys are going to see the potential unless they're getting a lot of game time in our system, because we can't train them up necessarily that way. So again, it could be another one that could bite us back in the rear end, but I don't think it'll bite us by much. Let's say we could have gotten $1 million for him and we sold him for 500, 550. I don't know. It's still a good chunk of money, and I think we could flip this into potentially 1 or 2 players maybe that are at least as good as definitely as good as he is right now. Maybe not as good as he's going to be 5 years from now, but definitely as good as he is now. So I'm not super upset about this one. We'll keep an eye on him maybe a little bit and see if he turns into something, but 550K profit, not bad. Taberner's out. Obviously, we do like Taberner a bit. Well, at least we have in the past. He's played okay for us in the past, but he just did not play especially well this last season. And might have been look, I will make this asterisk, this caveat about everything I say. It is a good chance that a lot of the guys that did not play well this last season, it's because of our system, quite frankly. And I have no problems admitting that. But if that's the system that we need to use to hit mid-table, we need people that can play that system, quite frankly. So he played really, really well for us down in League 2 and League 1. Just look at this huge drop-off. And again, 100% have no problem admitting if it was the system. It probably was. But we got him out on free, sold him for 250K. Not too bad. Getting him while he's still kind of, valuable to some level. He's 27 years old. He's basically in his prime right now. He's not going to grow and get that much better. He might get a little bit better, but he's definitely in his prime. So he would have been a good guy to keep around if we could. I'm not sure if I'm too upset about selling him on, again, specifically based on how he played this last season. Max Allen, it doesn't really matter. This guy, he just existed. We've seen him out on loan a couple times. I mean, he's done okay on a loan, I suppose, down in the Vanarama South. We sold him for 18,000. Really nothing to write home about, so I'm not too worried about him at all. I don't think he's going to develop into anything, so the fact that we got anything for him, yay us. Kamara is out. He did not play for us last season at all, I don't think. Let me double check. Yeah, he has not played for us at all this last season. I guess, no, sorry. He played one game, it looks like, somewhere. What was it? A non-competitive game, apparently. It looks like he subbed for a couple times. I mean, he's played well the one season that we actually played him. 6.86. We did take a little bit of a loss on him, but honestly, not so much that I'm too worried about that. This is probably close enough that I'd be like, you know what? We got him for a season. He played okay. He didn't do anything last season. We might as well cut our losses and move on, and that's actually not too bad of a price to sell him for, in my opinion. And then finally, we got Matheson down here as the most recent one that has actually officially been sold. Matheson is on my list as somebody who I probably would have liked to keep because he didn't play atrociously bad last season, 6.73, but definitely a significant drop-off from the 2 seasons before, right? 6.94 and a 7.02. We got him for 14.5K when we got him in 3 years ago, and we sold him for 175K. Another pretty strong profit. And for a team like ours, we just got to make as much money as we can for the players that we know we can sell on. And that's one of the things. The 4 players that I sold on that I might have preferred to keep, Chilvers, Matheson, Campbell, and Oyedel, those were all, for the most part, people that I'm like, I got to get some money back in while I can, because if we wait much longer, they might devalue very quickly. Who knows? And so that's a big part of that. Brooks Mead, honestly, I think getting a big chunk of money for him is massive. That's massive, a huge, big deal for us. But as you can see, net in is about 1.2 mil. So we've got some money to spend. We got some money to go get some relatively decent players. Now, as far as the holes, if we go look at our tactics, this is most likely the tactic I'm going to be running. I think I've mentioned this before, but I do check out a website called fmbase.co.uk is what is the full website address. It's fm-base.co.uk. And they have a simulator, basically, or a kind of a tactics testing kind of software that allows them to run through a whole bunch of tactics, through a whole bunch of scenarios, and return, kind of what your expected number of matches, points you would get over the number of matches, things like that. And you can filter it based off certain, like if there's a certain formation you want to run, like if I want to run at 4-2-2-2 or 4-2-4, however you want to say this, I can go see what's the best tactic somebody's come up with this formation, or if I wanted to put 2 guys into the midfield, things like that. So I can move people around on this, and it definitely gives you back some good feedback. I've used this several times in the past, and I would say it's not perfect. Like, you can't predict what your players are going to do in any given situation, but it's at least a good starting point. And that's where I'm looking at for this next season. This is a good starting point. We're going to try this out. And so with this tactic in mind, here is I don't think I've actually set up the squad planner, so I'm going to actually set it up real quick. I have my squad planner on a piece of notebook paper. That's typically how I do this, just because it's easier for me to write, scribble, and move stuff around, and then I'll come into the stuff here and change things as I need to. Right now, Maheda, who has been on loan for a while, he's back for the moment. I might still try to send him out on loan, although I think somebody just came in for an offer for him. I didn't write it down. I think somebody came in for an offer for him, maybe, or... No, that's right. I turned down the offer that they came in for. He got upset that I turned it down. He asked me how much I'd be willing to sell him for, and this is the number I put on there. So if somebody comes in for 170K, I might sell this guy on. We do need a backup because I did release our other backup because it just wasn't worth keeping around, quite frankly. And so we may see if we can get somebody else in here or not for sure, but for now, I'm okay with that. On the left-hand side, Dafter is actually coming in full-time, hopefully. We got the offer was approved, and everything else looks good. He just hasn't come in officially yet, so hopefully he'll come in full-time. If so, he will be our starter on that left-hand side. Most likely Sturge will be our secondary. Actually, I guess I can move him up this way. And then Chizoba will probably be our third. These guys could flip-flop as needed. We shall see. Campbell, I'm going to take off this list for now. Lambert, we're not bringing back. And then these other two guys who are out on loan. Aldcroft, I haven't really done anything with, but Lawson definitely would not be over this left-hand side. We'll leave Aldcroft in here. You never know. On the right-hand side, currently Haddo is our primary, with Leggett being our secondary for the moment. But this is a place that I feel like there is a hole that I want to try and fill, because I'm actually trying to sell Leggett, to be perfectly honest. He hasn't done anything for us. If I can get a good chunk of money for him, I'd be happy with that. Zach Bell plays in the middle. Mabaya plays in the defensive midfield. Smith plays in the middle. Kalinga is actually one of the guys that I might be selling. We'll see. Don't know. So this is basically what it looks like on the right-hand side. Obviously, if we keep Leggett, then we won't necessarily need somebody right away, but I'm going to try and see if I can get somebody on the right-hand side anyway. Okay, central midfielder, or central defense, we got Bell and Katongo as our primaries at the moment. And then we've got Foran and Smith as our secondaries. So Foran and Smith come in here as our secondaries. You may be wondering what's going on with Campbell. Well, I'm trying to get some money for Campbell, and I've actually got an offer in for him for $575,000. And I mentioned before, somehow Bell got moved down. Bell, Katongo, Foran, Smith. Okay. I did mention before, if I can get any sort of money for him, because I just don't feel like he's played good. 6.82 is not a bad average rating by any stretch, but $425,000, I feel like we could do a little bit better, or at the very least get somebody for cheaper that would give us a 6.82. Is kind of how I'm looking at this. So if we can get a profit off of him, I might go ahead and sell him. If we don't, then that's fine. He'll stick around. No big deal. No harm, no foul. So he's on the list still, potentially on his way out the door. Again, Baker's not coming back. Lambert's not coming back. Haddo plays on the right-hand side. Kalenga is potentially on his way out. And then we got the two loanies that, they're too far down to even be worth anything to us at the moment. So they just exist. Defensive midfield, again, if we're going to continue to play this, we got potentially Mabaya and Holland are our primaries, with Gillen as our only other option currently that could play into this spot. I forgot about Rattray here, to be perfectly honest. Potentially we could bring him back as a rotational player. That might not be bad. Smith, again, he can play on the defensive side. Balagizzi. Balagizzi's another guy who's potentially leaving us. We will get into that as time comes by. Rio Rose, also another guy who could play rotation. He's got a lot of potential, so maybe we can get by with this group. I don't know. Armorod, we're going to go ahead and take off this list just because if I play him anywhere, it'll be on the defense. I'm trying to get another solid defender, and if we do, we'll probably just send these guys back out on loan. But yeah, I think this is one of our weaknesses, and this is one of our weaknesses at the moment. Okay, on the left-hand side, we've got Richie as our primary, and then we've got Lab. If he doesn't sell, which I think if I just finally decide not to, I finally decided not to sell Lab. I was trying to sell him for a little bit there because he's worth a lot of money. And I was like, let's get him while we can sell him, because he might not develop into this with our system. But we didn't get the money I was looking for. So we're going to go ahead and keep him around. Dafter can play up here, obviously. And if we might, you never know, we might make some rotational decisions there. We got Moore and Clee potentially as backups. So I'm just going to take them off for now because they most likely will play as strikers. But here's what we're looking at on the left-hand side, on the attacking side. Again, with a Dafter who could play in there as a rotational as needed if there's injuries. Obviously I'm going to keep my eyes open for anybody that's good in these other spots. But this might not be a bad 1-2 punch right there. Right-hand side, we do have Herd as our primary. And then we have Alibi as our secondary. Kirby comes off this list because he goes somewhere else. Those two guys are. Dickinson comes off. Balagizzi, we talked about. Richie coming off. Heckman might... Nope, Heckman's sticking around. I think he's just our backup for a striker potentially, although he could play here. So I'm not going to leave him on this list, but he's still sticking around. Kair might be on his way out the door. We do have an offer in for him. We'll talk about that if that happens. But right now, this is our 1-2 punch right now. Not necessarily the most amazing, but I think it's a workable 1-2, kind of guys. And then up front, we have Kirby, we have Salisbury. We've got Charles is still kind of sticking around. He may not be the best as a striker, but he might be able to fill in from time to time. Dickinson sticking around. Again, Balagizzi hopefully is on his way out the door. Richie plays somewhere else. Heckman is an option. And then, of course, Klee and Moore are also potentially options if we decide to bring them back from their loans, or we'll probably send them out again, to be perfectly honest. But they are definitely options. Klee just helped a team in the Vanarama National League gain promotion. So he's actually played pretty well recently. But other than that, so that's our system right there. That's our team. That's what it's looking like. A few holes that I want to fill in for sure. And obviously, I will always be keeping my eyes open for just a really good player that we can just bring in, no matter where they slot and move some people around. So that's what we're looking for. But I'm going to go away and do some more business. Like I said, we've sold a lot of people. There's a few more people that might be on their way out the door still, maybe. But we definitely got to go get some players in to replace some of these guys. We'll see where we go. So I will be back when there's more news. All right, we are back. It is the first game of the season is today, which that will be in the next episode as usual. But we've done some business, done quite a bit of business actually. As you can see, our finances, we still have $1 million in the transfer budget. There's a reason for that. It's not because we haven't been doing stuff. We also have a little bit of a available wage budget as well. Almost $6 million on the overall balance, which feels really, really good about things. But let's get into what's been going on, because there's been a few things, and there's actually a couple things that almost happened, didn't. I'll talk about those as well, but they would have been pretty crazy as well compared to even everything else that we've done. All right, so we'll get to the right-hand side in a minute. There's a couple big ones over there. I'm sure you guys can already see. Left-hand side. So we have brought in, actually, let me back up for one tick to make sure. I think I talked to you guys. Did I already talk to you guys about? No, I didn't. There's no way I talked about these guys coming in, because I've only talked about the guys going out so far. Anybody else go out? Yeah, since you guys last saw, I don't think so. I can't remember if you guys saw Leggett go out. He left for $235,000, which we brought him in on a free. He didn't do anything especially amazing last season. We got some profit off him. Nothing too crazy. We got a little bit of profit off him. I know I talked about the Balagizzi leaving, but I can't remember if he actually had left already. In fact, I'm come to think of it. Let me just go through these real quick. Because I think the last time I talked to you guys about was Campbell, maybe on June 9th here. Or at least I talked about his potential for leaving. We actually flipped him for a little bit of a profit. Now, don't get me wrong. He wasn't playing poorly, but I didn't feel like he was like amazing, not worth the $425,000 that we had spent for him. So I spent him for a little bit of profit there. You know, it is what it is. Maybe that's good. Maybe that's bad. I guess, like I said, we'll find out. Other than that, I'm pretty sure you guys saw the Matheson Camara. So then we had Kair leaves here. I'm not gonna get my head out of the way so you guys can see the money, but I'm gonna show you the money here anyway. We brought him in on a free, not too, quite a while back actually. He's been out on loan for a while. We really haven't played him. And we sold him for $105,000. So really nothing crazy. Whether or not that's worth it or not, I don't know. But we weren't really going to use him this season either. So I figured get something for him, and that is better than nothing. Kalinga goes out for $150K. We brought him in for 100, sold him for 150. Basically break even. I mean, we got a little bit of profit off of him. Honestly, he makes up for the profit loss on, who was it? Camara, I think. So it's more or less break even between the two of those. Balagizzi, I did talk about he was going to be leaving. He did in fact leave. We brought him in on a free, sold him for $170,000. So tiny bit of profit off of him as well. And then I already talked about Leggett here. Coming in though, these are the big ones. First up, we get Oscar King coming in here. We're paying $375,000. Up front, could go as high as $450,000. He is a 3-star. Could go as high as 4.5 stars. Could be as good as 4.5 stars. He's currently 23 years old, so he's got several years more left of development ahead of him. He will probably primarily play on the right-hand side, although he's capable of playing as a defensive midfielder, which we're playing obviously quite a bit of. Also a midfielder, if we decide to go up that route. I mean, he could technically play midfielder left. He could also play attacking midfielder. So he's a pretty flexible guy. Overall, we're not paying a huge salary for him. He comes in here and he's been playing relatively well, 6.75, 7.3. I mean, those aren't like amazing, but last season he played a 6.91 on 14 games. That's not terrible. We're going to see if we can give him a shot. He's actually our third string right at the moment on the right-hand side. So even if he doesn't develop into anything, maybe we can sell him on for some sort of profit down the road, although we're paying a good chunk of money for him. I mean, is he worth the Campbell swap? I mean, I don't know. It's going to be hard to tell if these guys are worth what they were paying for him. We'll find out. We then brought in Liam Bennett here. He's actually a guy that my director of football suggested. He's 29 years old. I don't usually go for guys this old, but he, the director of football, thought he was pretty good, and he can play on the left or the right-hand side. 3.5-star current and potential ability. I mean, he's basically developed as much as he's going to. I mean, 6.96 for 2 seasons ago in for Barnsley. In the championship, he only played 5 games, to be fair. He only played 2 games last season. Didn't really get anything from that. In League One for Salford here, he played 28 games for a 6.85. So we know he can play, relatively well. We're going to bring him in here. He's actually going to be currently slated to be our starter on that right-hand side, ahead of Hadow, and of course ahead of King as well. So we'll see how he plays. If he doesn't play well, we've got a couple other options there in that spot. Then comes the big one. This is probably, I think, is the biggest one. We did still have 3 million transfer out, 2.1 million transfer in, so we did still make a net profit overall. But Amdouni is the guy we're going to try and hope that will carry kind of the anchor, that defensive midfield, and not actually playing an anchor, but that idea of just he's going to be a guy that carries this defensive midfield forward for us. It's the hope, at least. He comes in here from Fleetwood. He's been on a 7.05, 6.76 last season, so we know he can play. He's got some skill. We're paying a lot of money for him. This was a huge gamble. This is definitely the biggest gamble we've ever done, right? This is probably our biggest purchase ever, although I don't remember seeing the record pop-up come up. But I mean, really decent physicals. Balance and jumping reach are both really, really good. Honestly, he might be a guy that I mean, he's not going to be good for heading, but he's going to be good from a defensive side of things. His overall mentals aren't bad, and just the stuff that matters for kind of a defensive player on field, seems pretty good. So he seems like he could be a pretty solid pick for us. I mean, his transfer value is already up to 2.5 mil on the high end. Again, take that with a grain of salt, but there's a good chance that if he plays halfway decent for us and we just feel like we're not going to keep him, we could sell him for at least break even, if not a profit for someone even as expensive as he is. We then bring a bunch of free guys in, as you can see. So we'll go through those. Actually, we'll go through those in just a minute. I'm going to go ahead and go through the ones we actually paid for. So Brian O2 comes in here. He's actually a guy that my director of football suggested as well. 3-star current ability, could be as high as 5-star potential ability. Central defender, 21 years old, very young guy. Lots of room to grow. 6'1", pretty tall guy. Good mentals, pretty good physicals other than acceleration. I mean, he seems like he could be a pretty solid guy overall. That's the reason why I went ahead and let it go through. We have no information about him whatsoever. He's been there for West Ham. He went out on loan to the team here in Holland and played 1 game. Not going to judge him by 1 game, even if it is good. So we don't know. Huge roll of the dice. But again, my director of football thought he would be okay. And we're not paying a ton of money for him. But yeah, he might have some good potential here. We'll see. I mean, he's already potentially, his transfer value is potentially even above what we paid for him. So hopefully that works out. We then bring in Campbell here. We got rid of a Campbell, brought in a Campbell. This Campbell is a central defender, could play on the left-hand side if we need to. 3.5-star current ability, could go as high as 4-star. 26 years old, so he's got like 1 year, maybe 2 years left of development ahead of him, I think. I mean, not a bad player, tall player. Good stuff there. Heading's not terrible. Jumping reach, great. And overall, I mean, last season wasn't a great season for him, but the season before that, he was on a 7.01, 6.89, 6.72. So we know he can play. Can he play at the championship level? I mean, last season might tell you that he can't, but we'll find out. This was another director of football suggestion that I was like, you know what? I don't have a very strong reason to say no to. We'll go for it, see what he can do. My director of football he has suggested some guys that have turned out really, really good. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt probably more often than not. We then have a bunch of free transfers coming in. Obviously, we talked about Dafter. We had him on a loan last season. The problem with Dafter right now is that he did just get injured. He's out for with a lower back stress fracture for 4 to 5 weeks. So that's going to be rough. But we do have Chizoba on that left-hand side, thankfully, so he will be good there. Vernon comes in here as a free transfer as well. 3-star current, could go as high as 5-star. He's not super tall, but overall, dribbling, finishing, first touch, pretty solid. His physicals, other than jumping reach, not too bad. So we'll see what he can do for us. Again, a free transfer. I definitely love free transfers. I have no problem gambling on free transfers. We'll see what he does as a 20-year-old that has some room to develop. We could brought in for Brandel here. Another left back can also play as a defensive midfielder. That's the biggest reason I brought him in, is because he's got the flexibility to play both of those spots. 2.5-star current, could be as high as 4.5-star. Again, free guy. Played okay for Rochdale last season. It's not bad, you know. Whether he can step it up to this level or not, we don't know. But again, free guy. I'm not too worried about him. Hayes comes in here. He's a director of football suggestion, 28 years old. Anybody that's like this old is most likely director of football suggestion. Comes in here on the right-hand side. Can play on the left, on the wings. He could also play striker if we absolutely needed him to. Technically, he apparently could be trained up as a defender, but I don't think we'll ever do that. Not at his age. He will probably be my primary on the right-hand side, or primary backup, rather, I should say, on the right-hand side, unless he just starts playing better than Hurd over there. But, I don't know, just decent, you know, stats in League One. We'll see if he can step it up to this level or not. Again, free guy. I'm not too worried about it if he doesn't work out. Karamo is actually a guy that I brought in. I thought he was going to play on the right-hand side, but with some other things moving around, he will probably play as our inverted a backup for the left-hand side, since we are playing inverted winger over there. 33 years old. Obviously, we're only expecting him to stick around for a year, which is exactly what we signed him up for. He just comes in here with some experience, some depth on that left-hand side, which we desperately needed. We know he can play. 6.91, 6.92, 7.04. I mean, he can play in the championship. Now, he didn't play in the championship last season, and his actually stats dropped a little bit. But overall, we know this guy can play. The reason I say I brought him in is because he was one of the ones that was released by certain squads. So I brought in all those guys, even the old guys, like I said, on trial. He looked like he was doing pretty good on his trial. And we desperately needed somebody for, you know, kind of give us some flexibility in some of these spots. So he comes in here and we'll see what he can do. I mean, I would ignore his transfer value. Obviously, at 33 years old, there's no way we get that kind of money for him. But we brought him in on a free. We're paying him a lot of money in wages. For a guy with his level of experience, I feel like that's probably justified. Whether or not he plays at that level, again, we will find out. He's technically statistically better than Richie as far as his current stats. But we're probably going to start Richie because Richie's just been playing really, really well through the friendlies and the preseason. And I feel like with Caramel being a little bit older, he'll probably be a rotation player for us, or kind of a sub players for us. I guarantee you he gets plenty of time. And if he starts playing better than Richie, obviously he will get the starting nod. I forgot to go look at the outgoings. Ignore all the loans. Those are just people that I'm just trying to get something for, some sort of improvement for. I'll start with the cheapest one and work my way up. We did get rid of Sturge here. The reason we got rid of Sturge, and this is before the Dafter injury, by the way, but the reason we got rid of Sturge is because we brought in some of those other guys. Brandel's in there. Obviously, we still have Chizoba. And it's really between Sturge and Chizoba. Sturge, I think, has played slightly better than Chizoba, but Chizoba still has more room for development ahead of him than Sturge. So I went ahead and got rid of Sturge instead. Got a little bit of money for him from a guy that we got for a free. I liked Sturge. I thought he played okay, but we just didn't have a lot of rooms for that many guys on the left-hand side. So he was the one that drew the short straw, so to speak. Lab we get here, it goes out. Let's see here, Lab. Yeah, Lab did not play, either didn't play for us last season or didn't play well at all. He's in my category for not playing much. He was out on loan. So we didn't play him in our league last season. He went out on loan to League 2. Played well. Honestly, he's not a bad player by any stretch of the imagination. But somebody came in for him for a $500,000, could go up to as high as $600,000 offer for him. It's really hard to pass that up. Could he be as high as 1.1 mil someday? Or is that kind of where our evaluation is at him? Sure. And he was the guy that was going to play on that left-hand side. But once we brought Karama in, Lab definitely needed to go at that point, I felt like. And getting $500K for him, honestly, felt like a decent chunk of money. So we went ahead and went with that. And then the big one. The big one that I don't know if I could fully explain. Don't get me wrong. This guy has miles of potential. Miles of potential. But is it guaranteed he's going to reach that? I don't know. And we had a lot of guys on that left-hand side. He played in the Vanarama National League last season, played really well. 6.83 is pretty good. but that's several steps below where we're at right now. So getting a guy on a free and then selling him for 2.1 mil. I mean, honestly, I don't think there's a single player on our team, even Salisbury, even our goalkeeper, nobody that is worth passing up 2.1 up to 2.4 mil for. Like, seriously, like, we would have to know that they are for sure going to be the best player like we will ever see for me to keep that kind of money out of our pocketbook. So we brought him in, or we sold him, I should say. 2.1 could go as high as 2.4. So obviously these last 2 seasons, pretty good chunk of money coming into our bank account, which feels really, really good. And honestly, I still think we have a pretty decent team. I don't think our team is I definitely don't think it's gotten any worse than last season. Especially since, like I said, this guy right here, we didn't even play last season. Now, could we kept him and gotten better? Maybe. We don't know. But 2.1 mil is a lot of money. So we sold him on. I still feel pretty good about that. We got a mil, like I said, still in the transfer budget. A bunch of money in the bank account itself. Still some room on the wage budget. So we can still bring some more people in. Now, the only reason we will struggle to bring some people in is because we are at our registration limit. So anybody we bring in will have to be under 21 so that we can register them for free. So I will keep my eyes open. I will see that. I don't know that we're for sure going to be able to get anybody, but those are our options right there. I did try to reach out for some big name people, like some guys that were going to be worth a lot of money. I actually went as high as I think 1.5 mil for a guy that was like just an outstanding player, and he turned us down. I will say also we have had offers coming in for our goalkeeper, even as high as 1.9 million pounds for our goalkeeper. Like I said before, there's basically nobody on my team that I wouldn't sell for that kind of money. So yes, would we have to scramble to get us another goalkeeper to fill that slot? Sure. Although I will say that Mahady is not terrible and he has room to improve. So he might be able to hold down the fort for a little bit. He's definitely not as good as Zach Attack. But again, 1.9 mil for Zach Attack would be awesome. Now, Zach Attack decided he did not want to go to that team. So he turned down the contract offer. So we are, as of right now, we are not selling him, and there are no offers for him right this second, but we do keep getting offers for him. So again, if those continue to go up, we're going to probably keep saying yes. And if he ever leaves, then we'll just adjust at that point. But other than that, here's the squad planner. We'll go over this pretty quickly here. Hopefully, obviously Zach Attack, who's currently injured, by the way, will be our starter as goalkeeper for the time being. Dafter, when he comes back, will be our starter, most likely. Although I do see that Chizoba currently is suggested to be as good as him. We'll definitely be playing Chizoba while Dafter's out on injury. Obviously, if Chizoba just picks it up and just starts doing really, really well, then maybe Chizoba gets the start. Brandel, my goodness, Brandel transfer value is suggesting as high as 10.5 million. There's no way that we ever get that much for him, but if we did, that would be incredible. But obviously, Brandel's going to get some game time, especially with Dafter out. In the middle, we've got Bell, Katongo, Campbell, and Ferran as our primaries. Smith and O'Toole will kind of fill in the spots behind them. I'm sure these guys will all get lots of game time because, guys get tired, things like that. On the right-hand side, Bennett is our primary. Haddo and King are the backups in these spots. Mostly be Haddo for the most part, although I'm sure we'll try to get King in some game time as much as we can. In the defensive midfield role, we got Amdouni and Mabaya as our primaries. Holland, I left Brandel on here just because we know that he can play there. King can play there as well, the guy that's backing up on the right-hand side. So we'll see some guys get some good rotation there. I'm actually trying to sell Gilligan for something. Right now, I've got it down to 95K. He's actually injured right now, so we're not really getting a lot of offers for him. He's just not going to be part of a guy for our future. So if we get Gilligan sold off, that would be fine. He's actually not even registered right now, so that's part of the reason why we want to sell him off. Richie's our primary for the left-hand side with Karamo on the as a backup. Obviously, Hayes can play over there as well. Alibi, who's currently injured, can also fill in some spots as needed. On the right-hand side, Hurd is currently our primary just because he's been playing relatively well. Hayes would be probably our primary backup with Alibi. Karamo can also play either side there. And then as our strikers, we got Kirby and Salisbury as our primaries. Vernon, a lot of potential for this guy, will be currently our backup. I guarantee he gets plenty of game time though, so we'll see if he starts playing better than either of the other two. Charles is also a backup, although he's currently injured for several weeks, as is Hayes, actually, I just realized, for a couple weeks, although he should be back relatively soon. Caramel can play up there if we need him to, so we should be okay up front, but obviously we've gotten quite a few injuries that are starting to concern me a little bit. Charles out for up to 10 weeks, Defter out for up to 5 weeks, Hayes out for up to 2 weeks, Gilligan out for almost 2 weeks, Zach and Tack and Alibi coming back from injury very soon. So injuries are starting to hurt us a bit, but we do have some good rotational players. Hopefully we can make things happen with what we got. As of right now, we are predicted to be favorites for relegation, basically, because these bottom, was it 3 get relegated? Yeah, bottom 3 get relegated. So we're in the favorite section for relegation, although we were last season too. So we're not the absolute favorites. That's Bolton, who just got promoted, but we're down there. I mean, I guess I'm looking for, I think I told you guys before, we were looking for 15th, anything last season, just not avoiding relegation last season. Now we're looking for hopefully 12th and higher. That's one of our goals. If we can move up 3 spots, I would be pretty happy with that. And that is going to be our goal for this season. Other than that, that is it. Not a lot else going on. Obviously, we've been spending a lot of money, but also we've been getting a lot of money back in. So a lot of movement parts for us at this level. Feels really good. I really love that this number is up there. Our projection currently has us losing money, to be fair, but overall, I think we're going to be just fine. So we'll see. Well, hopefully the gate receipts start filling out the way we expect them to, with some really big time sellouts. We do play Blackpool in the second game of the season, so that will be in tomorrow's episode probably. We might as well show that one in the Carabao Cup first round. First up, though, will be against Burnley. And we'll go from there. I'm excited about second season here. As you can see, we actually played really, really well in the preseason. Aston Villa is the only team that beat us, as you would expect for a Premier level team. But then we went up and beat Leicester here 4-1. Now, were they playing their best players? Probably not. But still, we are seeing some good stuff from players with this new formation. By the way, the formation as of right now still is this 4-2-2-2. We'll see if it continues to work out for us. It's looked good, like I said, during preseason, and we'll go from there. Very long episode. I apologize. A lot more going on. This is probably our biggest transfer that we've ever had, going out and in. So a whole lot going on. I've been sitting here for several hours going through all of this bit by bit. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'm excited for the second season in the championship. I'm hoping it's just a little bit better than last season. That's all I need. Just a little bit better, and we'll go from there. But I do appreciate you guys watching. May God bless you, and I hope you join me again next time. Thank you, and goodbye. I wanted to give a special shout out to the following channel members. Thank you so much for supporting the channel.